Michael, Caroline, welcome both to the program. Now, it's going to be the big topic of discussion all week, the budget. And already Labor is on the back foot to explain how this $21 billion is not going to be inflationary. Now, Michael, you don't need to be an economist to realize that pumping all of this money into the economy when inflation is already a thing is not going to be good for the pocketbook, is it?
Well, it's certainly not going to do anything about addressing inflation in the direction we want to address it. It'll only add to. They've been reasonably measured, I think, in how much they've added to the spending. They could have gone further because of the amount of money coming in from fossil fuels, particularly, and also tax receipts. But nonetheless, all this talk around surpluses and all that, I think a lot of it is actually superfluous rhetoric. What I wanted to see from the budget, I knew I wouldn't, and I don't think we'll see it tonight in the reply either, are structural reforms that are going to get the long-term spending down. Significant reforms. I know the government have tinkered at some old policies and they've made a few changes, but then they've added to it with extra additional spending. And a lot of that, when you look at the aged care funding and the like, is going to be long-term recurrent spending. The NDIS, they've said they're going to do something. Well, let's see. The proof will be in the pudding there. We have a structural deficit, which is being baked in. And this is at a time of peace, at a time of enormous revenue returns from our export industries, a time of record low unemployment. The times won't be this good forever. Business even acknowledge that. And we have to prepare for when it's going to be bad, and we're not.
And Michael, I'm glad you mentioned structural reform, but, you know, Caroline, too, there's this other problem, too, for all of these householders in the middle who are getting squeezed. They got nothing out of this budget. And if we get 2 more interest rate rises, they are really going to be in the frame. Forget about the inflation on their grocery bill, their power bill, which in New South Wales is a huge component of their quarterly spend.
Absolutely, and I think that's going to be a key component of the budget reply speech tonight, is really targeting those middle Australians, which are really, you know, the main voting base for any major political party. You don't want to ignore those people. I mean, these are your everyday mums and dads who are struggling to pay power bills, who were told that they would save $275 a year off their power bills. We're now hearing that even the luckiest people are going to actually be paying that much more.
Caroline, I'm glad you mentioned that $275, because let's have a look at what the government used to say before the election.
Reducing power prices by $275.
By 2025, $275 a year.
$275 a year.
We'll get power prices down by $275 a year.
Well, now, Michael, they're giving us back a little bit of money, some of us a bit of money, but the government analysis shows that we have 39% increases. So how are they going to sell this? Or they're just going to walk away from this completely and hope that all of that little tape there disappears?
They'll sort of skip it back a little bit. But we know what they're going to say. They're going to say, well, look, power prices would have been this much more had we not done X, Y, or Z. Forget the 275. So that's the rhetoric. Whether the public buy it in 1.5 years when we go back to the polls will be another matter. But this goes back to what we were saying at the start. I mean, we talk here about the need for energy price relief, and a lot of people need it desperately. But what's caused the problem? We've got to go back to first principles, and we never do this in this country effectively. We give money out because there's a problem. Tends to be government who create the problem. They then come, we've got the solution, we'll give you more money. We could save a lot of money in this country if we went back to first principles and solved the problem. We're awash with natural resources. We should have abundant, cheap energy. Why are we handing out money?
They can't even mention the C word. And that's the C word we can say on air, coal. In their budget, you know?
You're starting to give me a heart attack there, Caroline.